Hello, my awesome family. Welcome back. Hope you're all safe and doing good. I like to have some quiet time for myself, and the best thing is the best part of the day would be morning with a nice cup of tea. We make this Indian masala chai, which is fantastic, and it just gives me some time to sit and do the corrections or think about the best parts and be grateful for what we have and do more good. And one of these days I was just sitting alone having my cup of tea, and I was just thinking about this gardening season, this year's gardening, how we did and what needs to be corrected and what were the best parts of it and what are the goals for the next year, the plans and the goals for next year. And I thought it would be a good idea to do a video on it, and maybe one of you can get some inspirations or maybe get some ideas of what not to be done from my mistakes list. So, well, let's get started with this video. So, coming to me, I generally like to correct myself, and I generally think what can be done in a better way of anything, let it be running the house or running the relationships or doing the gardening. So coming to the mistakes, what I felt we have done this for this year's gardening where first one was planting few of the plants in excess. The best example was bell peppers. Bell peppers, we eat it, we use it, but our garden has produced way too many bell peppers, and we did freeze it. We ate a lot of it. We gave a lot of it, but still, they were very much in excess. So that's one thing which I want to take care for next year. Not to plant way too many of the same kind, and experiment with different types of vegetables, or basically with different types of vegetables. Same with the jalapenos were way too many in excess. I think we are covered for the whole year. Even if I don't plant anything for next year, we still will be be having the frozen jalapenos, which can be used for the cooking. So it did perform, not 100%, it did 200%. God bless those jalapeno plants. Those were fabulous producing plants. And that was the first point. Try different types of vegetables or the plants, and go with limited number of plants if we are not using that specific type in daily usage, and the second point is work more on the ground vegetables, like carrots, garlic. Carrots somehow I don't go with the proper system, I guess. Carrots, once we do a proper seed germination, and of course with the proper soil amendments, it will grow good. That is there. But somehow carrots, I always rush up with the soil amendments or even with the seed germination. I need to have more patience with growing carrots. And garlic, last year we tried with the garlic, and that was from the store-bought garlic, and I actually I did a silly mistake of planting with strawberries, which were already super packed, and I tried to grow garlic in that, which is kind of a ridiculous mistake, because those were already too tight, and for the root vegetables they need some space to grow, and the soil has to be a little bit loose. So that wasn't a great idea. But anyways, these ones are the corrections for next year. And the third one is the potatoes. The last before year I had such a great crop. Like, you should, if I can find the pictures, I'll post it. But those potatoes were amazing. Every time we dig up, there'll be like these huge chunky potatoes which taste absolutely delicious. And those were growing in a raised bed, like, onto the side of basically in a raised bed. So this year I thought of experimenting with growing them in parts, and it wasn't such a good idea. First point was trusting the seeds in the sense like the seed potatoes from some random from a random person, right? So that wasn't a good idea. And the second one was putting in a pot where they were too restricted. The space wasn't sufficient. So that was one more mistake with the potatoes, which I don't want to repeat it next year. And how many was done? 1, 2. Okay, the next one is with the cherry tomatoes. I want to have less of cherry tomatoes and more of beef steak, or the basically the slicers or the romaines. So cherry tomatoes, they'll grow like crazy, and those will be like those just grow way too tall. It's almost like you have to build the support system, which is kind of very tough. And they grow a lot. We will not be able to consume all those cherry tomatoes. So I wanted to have less of cherry tomatoes and more of slicers and romaines. So that's one more thing. And the next point is with the support system. We did had climbing beans. We call it as chukudagayalu in Telugu. So we don't have any vertical supports in the raised beds which we have built, because it was done just this year. So for next year we wanted to put the vertical support for all these wine crops, right? So that should be done with which, all these bottle gourds or any of the vines, they can have some nice support system and they can produce more instead of poor things just falling off. I literally had a twine which was running through the fruit trees, and these vines were just growing through it, which wasn't a great idea, but it is what it is. That's one more point. And the last one is with the sunflowers. I had this thought that they will actually grow pretty huge. I knew that they will be growing pretty huge. Somehow I was in a feel of they would act as a support system for these wine crops, and didn't realize that those will take the nutrition away from the actual vegetables, and those will actually shade the true vegetables which are growing in the raised beds. I didn't realize that point. So sunflower, they'll be out of the raised bed. They'll be definitely near to the vegetables, because we need all the pollinators to come. So they'll be in the garden near to the vegetables. And we do have a huge problem with the groundhogs. So I need to put a mesh in the beginning of the growing season. So I need some sort of support system around the raised beds instead of using those vegetable sticks, those support sticks, which are pretty expensive and does not work that great. This sunflowers, the Manmouth version, will work pretty good with that. So those are what the mistakes for this year, or I should call it as corrections, which I wanted to do it for the next year. And next would be the best part. The best part of this year's vegetable garden is actually starting a YouTube channel. I have to say that I didn't realize how much of happiness I am actually getting looking back at what we grew this year and the whole process of it, right from the spring, how it was, those teeny tiny baby plants, and how much they have grown and how much they have produced and how much they have how many baskets of how many baskets they have filled. Whenever any of our friends visits our house, they will be sent back with a bag of something from the garden, something from our some farm, which I can proudly say it, because that's one of the culture what my grandparents used to have. When somebody comes home, they will never send back with empty hands. They will have something in their, they'll have some sort of homegrown or home cooked things sent back to them when they go back to their homes. So I actually felt very proud and very happy, thinking of for how many of our friends we were able to give the homegrown 100% organic and nutrient dense vegetables, how much we were able to share it. So that's the best part. And okay, I'll go with the sequence of one of the other best part was starting the seeds indoor. I finally was able to change my mindset of plants going through the transplant shock. I'm not a big fan of starting the seeds indoor. I somehow don't like the process of plants being transplanted and them going through the shock period. Somehow that kind of hurts me. But this year, I have to always put this thought into my mind that we live in zone 6B, which does not have a huge growing period, right? So we have to definitely start it indoors. That's, I think, one of the big benefit what we had this year was starting the plants indoor. They had the time to catch up, and transplant shock that was there, but I guess they were able to survive and they grew back strong. And the next best thing was fertilizing the soil with my soil amendments: biochar, homemade compost, cow manure, rock dust, and initial days with the fish emulsion. All the stuff actually worked pretty good with the amount of crop what we have got. And doing a prep work with lab is lactic acid bacteria that will actually help the microbes in the soil to grow more and develop more during the winter time. So I'll be doing that video pretty soon. It should be out in the month of January with the lab recipe, how to do it. It's actually very simple. It's not a huge recipe. So, but it has extreme high benefits, especially with the developing the good bacteria, microbes in the soil. And of course, planting tons of bees and butterfly friendly plants, sunflowers, cosmos. This is one more proud point I have to say. My husband's friend, someone came here, and my husband was saying my wife, she planted few of the plants especially for butterflies, and he was do anybody does that, and he showed bunch of butterflies which were just going in the garden, and it was such a proud moment for me. So planting more of bees, pollinators attracting plants. And we did buy a 6-feet freezer, and I thought it was very huge when it came in. Somehow I ordered it and I didn't realize that it'll be that huge. And the most surprising part was we were able to fill up almost all part of the freezer. That much of crop we were able to get it thanks to the God. Obviously, this is nothing without His blessings. Every single thing is through Him for sure. Thanks to Him, and it was such an amazing feeling. The whole process was so beautiful, much required for this kind of year. And I I do have a couple of points for the plants and the goals. I'll just quickly walk through because I didn't realize it's almost already 15 minutes. So vertical support system will be going with the video early in the spring, and we wanted to do the rainwater harvesting and go to some local farms for some cow manure and horse manure. Hopefully this part my husband will not hear. It's gonna be a big problem. And I wanted to get the fish, the raw fish, from any of the stores where they wanted to throw it away because it's expired, and put it into the soil, which is a fantastic source for free nitrogen. And I'm doing more research on the wood chips, but wood chips I still have to do more research. I wanted to get clear cut information and make sure I'm not putting any kind of termites into my neighborhood. So I have to do more research on that. The overall goal for me is to produce everything what we are going to eat from the garden, and my house soil has to be so super healthy with good bacteria and fungus, and it should have this wonderful microbes, so that whatever we throw out the seeds, the plant should grow beautifully and they should be almost on their own. That would be my goal. And if you guys like this content, and if you want to join my journey and be part of it, and let's reverse the mess what we did with the food industry. It is way too much of chemicals, way too much of nonsense, which shouldn't be, and let's reverse it. I think all of us can do it. We don't need huge yards or nothing. Just start from a container and we can all do this together. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button, throw a like, let me know how this video is. Do you guys like this kind of videos? What you wanted to know or what you wanted to learn about gardening? Throw in the questions. I will try to answer it as much as possible in the upcoming videos, or just say hello in the videos, in the comments. I would love to hear back from you guys. You all have awesome life, happy living, and be healthy. Bye.